Hello, this is a very special video where I'm going to teach you advanced techniques so you can remove fluoride from both drinking water and toothpaste. And the best part is you can do this right in your own home. Stay with us until the end of this video. Now let's talk a bit about the current methods for removing fluoride, filtration, and their efficiency. We have distillation, which is a process where you evaporate the water and then cool it down. It's a process that removes a good amount of fluoride because the fluoride stays at the bottom and the water comes out without any mineral salts. The same thing happens with reverse osmosis, which usually uses distilled water and goes through another process, ultimately removing even more ions. It removes fluoride, but it also takes out all the mineral salts. The same thing happens with reverse osmosis, which usually uses distilled water and goes through another process, ultimately removing even more ions. To give you an idea, this water here is what we use for injectable vaccines. So it is very pure water and expensive water. Not everyone would be able to have this at home. Activated charcoal is the main method of filtration today, the famous clay filter. But even in those regular filters that you open, they don't remove much fluoride. They're not very effective. They do remove heavy metals like mercury, lead, and pesticides, but they have low efficiency when it comes to fluoride. So even if you have 3 activated charcoal candles, it won't make a difference in terms of fluoride. Bone charcoal comes from animal bones after slaughter, and it contains hydroxyapatite, which, as we mentioned in previous videos, has a greater affinity for fluoride and can remove a bit more, but not 100%. It's of average cost and hard to find. At least here in Brazil, I've never seen anyone selling a candle for filters made from animal charcoal, but it would be an interesting alternative. Animal charcoal filter candles are not sold. Some filters use activated charcoal, magnesium, and bentonite, reducing 30% to 40%. But it would be an interesting alternative. There are filters from companies that sell a mix of activated carbon, add magnesium, bentonite, and they can achieve a reduction of 30% to 40%. It doesn't remove most of the fluoride. Some companies sell this filtration system, which is of average cost, much more expensive than a regular filter, and you also become dependent on that company to buy the filter candle, always needing to get the refill from them. Now we have the CAF method, the advanced fluoride complexation method, which I'm introducing here for you. It's my own method, and I haven't seen anyone talking about it until now, and you can remove 100% of the fluoride. It's a low-cost method, but you need to dose the correct amount of the complexing agent and find the availability of agent X, which I'll show you in the next slides, in your area. In the midst of difficulty lies opportunity. Albert Einstein. Back in the first video of this series, I showed this same slide, but I was referring to the difficulties faced by the industry. The aluminum industry produced a large amount of sodium fluoride as a byproduct, and they needed to, that was their problem, to find a solution. The solution was to use fluoride in drinking water and in toothpaste, and now we have the fluoride problem. As I've explained in all the videos in this series, if you're just joining us now, I ask you to check out this playlist. The link will be in the description. Watch all the videos from the beginning so you can get the full context of everything that's been discussed so far. then this comment of mine will make more sense to you. So from now on, we're going to move on to our solution and find the opportunity. I present to you the advanced fluoride complexation method. This is a method based on the complexation power of boron with fluoride. Fluoride being very electronegative and boron being positive here, it's like a magnet for fluoride. And once this complex is formed, I have trapped the fluoride. Tetrafluoroborate. I have trapped the fluoride. So folks, the basis of this method is that fluoride is already in the water or in toothpaste and even in fruits now, because the water is irrigated with fluoride and everything else. What do we need to know here? Would this boron be safe for me if I'm talking about putting it in water to remove or trap fluoride? So we're going to see in the next slide, in the next step, or authors talking about this level of safety. Speaking of boron, I'm going to present it to you here. An article by a renowned author named Rex Newham. Since 1963, he has been accumulating experiences on the use and supplementation of boron daily. The essentiality of boron for healthy bones and joints. It's the title of the article. This author, Rex Newham, since 1963, studied boron for his own bone health, for relief from his own arthritis, taking about 6 milligrams of boron a day, and noticed improvement. Since he was a scientist, he sought scientific evidence to confirm what he was already seeing in his health. So, concentrations of boron in the bones. People with arthritis have significantly lower levels of boron in their bones and synovial fluid compared to healthy individuals. Epidemiological studies. In regions with boron intake lower than 1 milliliters per day, the incidence of arthritis ranges from 20 to 70%. In areas where the daily intake of boron is between 3 to 10 milliliters, the incidence drops to 0 to 10%. So you can see from the start that when you ingest boron, you have a lower incidence of arthritis. Continuing with the experimental studies, he tested it on rats and noticed a significant reduction in arthritic inflammation with boron supplementation. In a double-blind clinical study, it showed that 71% of the people who received 6 mg of boron per day had a significant improvement in osteoarthritis symptoms against just 10% in the placebo group. Placebo, for those who don't know, is a pill that has nothing in it. Basically, I say, I'm giving you a medicine to help you improve, but it's just to remove the bias that it's not psychological. So there's been scientifically evidenced that boron acted directly on this cause. Proposed mechanisms. Boron can improve bone hardness, speed up fracture healing, and reduce inflammation. It was observed that the bones of patients supplemented with boron are more resistant to cutting during surgeries. Safety and tolerance. In this very article, all the hematological tests were done. Blood tests, complete blood counts, lipid profiles, urine tests, and all types of biological markers were conducted, on the group that took boron and the group that did not take boron to see if there was any significant alteration or any inflammatory effect, any inflammatory response. And they concluded at the end of the study, no significant adverse effects were observed in the reviewed studies. Boron supplementation was considered safe and beneficial. Guys, are you noticing that there are several signs? Fluoride at the beginning, you noticed? Fluoride weakens the bones, while boron does the opposite of fluoride. Boron strengthens your bones. Boron traps fluoride. So at various points in the video, I'm leaving you the signs you need to come to your own conclusions. Author's conclusions. Boron is an essential element for maintaining healthy bones and joints. Remember that fluoride attacks the joints, making them loose or stiff or causing nodules. Supplementation can be an effective strategy for the prevention and treatment of conditions like arthritis. I want to take a moment to share something with you. This author in Australia started to promote his work. He has a book about it. And in Australia, they began to go after this scientist with all their might. To give you an idea, Australia is one of the only countries in the world where the sale of boric water is prohibited, which, according to them, is toxic. One thing that was helping people's health. So, folks, most of the time, science is free to pursue. There are many pharmaceutical interests behind the scenes that guide a country's political guidelines. So stay alert. If I were you, I would absorb, in addition to capturing the essence of this video, write down everything here in the best way possible. Try to download this video, because honestly, I don't know how long it will be available. I believe this video was inspired, made with a lot of care, and it will reach the people who need to see it. People who are on the same wavelength will somehow pick up on and understand the importance of this video. Continuing here, the recommended intake for therapeutic benefits is 6 mg of boron per day, which can be provided in the form of sodium tetraborate, borax, or boric acid. This here is just to show that same author wrote a book, End Arthritis. How many people out there suffer from arthritis, feel pain, and often with just a few drops of boric water, supplementing to reach that dose of 6 milliliters of boron per day, could at least find some relief from their pain? You have to feel it for yourselves. The conclusion is up to you. I'm presenting the data, the scientific article, and sources. It's up to you to research and see which path to take. Whenever we talk about supplementation, we have to talk about limits. It's always good to remember that the difference between a medicine and a poison is the dose. If you take iron, it's good for your health. If you take too much iron, it can be negative. Copper is good for health, but there's a limit. It's the same thing with boron. So how can we base ourselves on this? There's a direction to this, right? There's this American National Institute of Health here in Brazil. It doesn't have a reference, but it's a trusted reference. Here's the link below. And it lists the amounts in milligrams of boron that you can ingest per day. For children up to 12 months, it doesn't establish, meaning there's no defined amount. But for children aged 1 to 3 years, it's 3 milligrams. For children aged 4 to 8 years, it's 6 milligrams. Children, 9, 11, 14 to 18. Up to 18 years old, from 14 to 18, 17. And for adults or pregnant and breastfeeding women, it's 20 milligrams per day. That's the dose. And they also mention in that same document that the apple is a great source of boron, a significant source of natural boron. But folks, let's go. The apple and other fruits that would also have boron naturally, like eggs, among other elements, when fluoride came into play, when an apple tree is irrigated with fluoridated water, that fluoride steals the boron that would naturally be in the soil. And because of that, this apple is born with deficiency of boron. An apple from the 80s had more boron, only 10% remains. That would have had a certain amount of boron, but maybe today it has only 10% of that boron it would have had. Back in the 1980s, ever since fluoridation in the water started, fluoride accumulates in the environment. So when you excrete water, if you've taken fluoride, it's going into the river. So it's cycle. So in some way, supplementation is necessary.